Miss Shakur. Hello, everybody. Greetings. What's going on? What's going on? Good evening. This your girl Tiffany, and I'm here live in effect. So tonight, I want to do this video because I want to give a special dedication, and to acknowledge someone who has played a prominent role, especially when it came into the hip hop community and also in activism as well. And she happened to be the mother of a rapper who we all admire. And she was the mother of Tupac Shakur. So we don't hear much about this woman except the fact that she's his mother, and that's about it. But many people don't know that she had a background before she became Tupac's mother. And the person that I'm talking about is the late Afeni Shakur. So she had a birthday that just passed yesterday, which was on January the 10th. Okay. And so Miss Afeni Shakur happened to pass away in 2016 at the age 69, which was devastating, heartbroken to a lot of people in the hip hop community because she was well respected and well loved. All right. So with that being said, I'm gonna get on to the topic about Miss Afeni Shakur. She happens to be one of my personal favorite, one of the people I admire. So let's go ahead and look at this beautiful ancestor. That's Miss Afeni Shakur. Okay. That's her again with her African garb on, and she got her beads on. Right now, this is her with the picture of Tupac. Okay, that's her. All right. So who was Miss Afeni Shakur? Who was she? So here's the introduction. Afeni Shakur Davis also was born as Alice Faye Williams on January 10th of 1947, and she died on May the 2nd, 2016. She was a political activist and former member of the Black Panther Party. She was the mother of the American rapper and actor Tupac Shakur. So she was born on January 10th of 1947 in Lumberton, North Carolina. All right. The daughter of Rosa Bell, a homemaker, and Walter William Jr., a trucker. She had a sister, Gloria Jean. She had a troubled beginning and grew up resisting her father and men in general because he was abusive, and she thought her mother was weak because she did not stand up against her father. When her mother and her sister left her father in 1958, they moved to the Bronx where she had difficulty in adapting to the educational setting, even though her teachers thought the high school for performing arts was fit for her. She attended Bronx High School of Science. She became interested in street life and called herself a street fighter and a member of Disciple Debs in Harlem. So, Miss Afeni Shakur was born in North Carolina. She grew up in New York, but she experienced a lot of trouble. So she got involved into the street life. And it sounded like to me, the Disciple Debs were a street organization, a gang or something. So she was alert to the streets more than she was focused on education. Now, this is a story of a troubling Black woman. Let's continue. Activism. Now, this is where she got involved. In 1968, at the age of 21, she changed her name to Afeni Shakur. Afeni is a Yoruba word for lover of people, and Shakur is Arabic for thankful. She lived in Harlem, New York, and she joined the Black Panther Party. She wrote the Black Panther Party newsletter, Panther Post. She led a successful campaign that led the FBI to believe the party was fading. She became a session leader of the Harlem chapter and a mentor to new members, including Jamal Joseph, Cleo Silvers, and Duruba Ben Wahad. She also worked with Billy Garland, who was Tupac's biological father, and Jerome Nemo Pratt, who became Tupac's Baltimore's sponsor. So here it is. Tupac was born into what we call Black Revolutionary and Black Panther. He was born into that because of his mother being actively involved. Okay, his father, biological father, and also his stepfather was Mutulu Shakur. And if y'all have watched American Gangster, Mutulu Shakur was on there. Okay, he was incarcerated because he happened to be one of the political prisoners. All right. But Tupac was born into that, and she raised him on those principles. That's why if you listen to his music, he talk a lot about racial issues, social injustice, or whatnot, because of his mother's influence. She brought that to his attention. She educated him. And that's how he grew up. But he was alert to the streets as well. You know, he wanted to get into the thug life. He wanted to be the bachelor. He wanted to do what the big boys was doing out there. But he never forgot his roots and where he came from. And that was a fact. All right. So let's go ahead and continue. All right. So let's look at the Panther 21. Who was the Panther 21? Real fast. Okay. So the Panther 21 is a group of 21 Black Panther members who were arrested and accused of planned coordinated bombing and long-range rifle attacks on 2 police stations and education office in New York City. Among the defendants were Afeni Shakur, Lumumba Shakur, Ali Bey Hassan, Michael Talbert, Daruba El Mahad bin Wahad, Jamal Joseph, Abanyama Katara, Baba Odinga, John Bird, Robert Collier, Sondita Akodi, Lonnie Epps, Curtis Powell, Kwasi Balagoon, Richard Harris, Lee Berry, Lee Roper, and Kwando Kinshasa. The trial eventually collapsed and the 21 members were acquitted of all charges. All right. So here was the thing. Before Tupac was born, she was pregnant with him and she was locked up. Okay, while she was pregnant with Tupac. It was said to be that she had given birth to him while she was in prison. So he was born while she was locked up. Mm. And see, you gotta remember groups like the Black Panthers, the Black Liberation Army, and so many others, they were more radical minded people. They were really focusing on the Black Power movement. They really did, so she was caught up in that, and she was young. She was in her 20s. Okay. So let's continue on with her story. So the accusation prosecutors alleged that the Panthers had planned 3 attacks for Friday, January 17, 1969 at 9 a.m. Police claimed that the dynamite had been placed in 3 locations. Bronx 44th Precinct Police Station, dynamite sticks at the 44th Precinct Station had been switched by a police undercover agent with phonies so that only a blasted cap exploded. Manhattan 24th Precinct Police, the fuse on the phony sticks had been improperly lit. Queen Board of Education office, real dynamite was from a source other than the undercover police blew a hole in the side of the building. Wow. And so it goes on to say that indictments and incarceration. So on April the 2nd, 1969, 21 Black Panther members were indicted. The number dropped from 21 to 13, who were arraigned before Judge Charles Marks with bail set at $100,000. The defendants could not make bail immediately, and so many spent the months detained in Rikers Island. Now, Rikers Island happened to be one of the worst jails in New York. Like it is known to be the worst place to be locked up at. So you had so many people, like celebrities, especially being locked up in that jail. And there's a lot of stories that have been told that it's a very rough area. It's deadly. Like the guards sit there and let shit happen to you. Okay. Like they don't really give a fuck. They wouldn't even report your death. That's how bad Rikers Island is. So let's continue with the story. Anyway, Joseph A. Phillips from the district attorney's office led the prosecution with Jeffrey Weinstein as his assistant. The Panthers were charged with conspiracy to kill several police officers and to destroy a number of buildings, including 4 police stations, 5 department stores, and the Bronx Botanical Gardens. During their incarceration, many people and organizations publicly supported the Panthers 21 and raised money for their bail and legal expenses. Abby Hoffman helped put up money to bail out one of the defendants. Various churches around New York City has helped raise money for the defendants. The composer Leonard Bernstein hosted parties raising money for the Panthers. It was one of these parties in support of the Panthers 21 that Tom Wolfe wrote about in his essay Radical Chick, That Party at Lenny's, in which he coined the term radical chick. 2 of the defendants fled to Algeria during the trial. All right, so it goes on to say the district attorney read Chairman Mao Zedong's Little Red Book and showed the court the movie The Battle of Algiers. At the time, the 8-month trial was the longest and most expensive in New York State history. Acquittal. The Black Panther members were acquitted on May 12th of 1971 of all 156 charges. Okay, so this was the Red Book. All right. Let's see. It says the former chairman of the Communist Party of China, published from 1964 to about 1976, widely distributed during the Cultural Revolution. Okay, so it was said to be that the Black Panthers parties was very influenced by the Red Book that was written by Mao Zedong. Mao Zedong preached the concept of communism in his country. So, with that being said, a lot of Black Panther members became so influenced by his book that they was passing the books around in the communities, in the neighborhoods, getting people to read it. So that was their first start revolution, because they saw what the Chinese was doing with communism. They say, hey, we need to go along with the concept of communism and incorporate that within our community. So that's going to be a topic dealing with socialism and communism and Black revolution organizations. So I would deal with that topic later. But yes, a lot of them were very influenced on communism. They thought the communist government would be more beneficial for the Black community. And this was during the time of the late 60s, early 70s. All right. So let's go ahead and let's continue on. Okay. All right. So here it is. Here it is. All right. So let's get down to the part where it says the pre-trial started in February 1970 and the actual trial on September 8, 1970. Charges brought against her and the other members of the Black Panther Party were attempted murder, conspiracy to commit murder, conspiracy to bomb buildings, and conspiracy. During the course of the trial, the judge dismissed 12 out of 30 charges. Shakur chose to represent herself in the courtroom, pregnant while on trial and facing a 300-year prison sentence, and had not attended law school. Let me stop right there. She did not attend law school. Now, you want to remember when Tupac had that incident in Atlanta where he shot two of the police officers and he represented himself in the courtroom? Where do you think he got that from? He got it from his mama. Yeah, he got it from his mama. But let's go ahead and continue. She chose to represent herself in court, pregnant while on trial and facing a 300-year sentence, and had not attended law school. Shakur interviewed witnesses and argued in court. She and the others in the Panther 21 were acquitted in May 1971 after an 8-month trial. Although altogether, Afeni spent 2 years in jail before being acquitted. Her son, Lassane Parrish Crooks, that was his real name, Lassane Parrish Crooks, was born on June 16, 1971. The following year, in 1972, Lassane Parrish was renamed Tupac Amaru, which means shining serpent in Kwekuka. Was it what, Kwekua? The young Tupac was named after Tupac Amaru II, indigenous surgeon leader of the rebellion of Tupac Amaru II and a rebellion of the Inca against the Spanish in Peru, which lasted from 1780 to 1783. Okay, so she named him after a revolutionary of Spain, a leader named Tupac Amaru II. That's who she named him after. But let's continue. But you know, it's with Tupac, he used the number 2 in front of his name. All right, so later in life, after Afeni Shakur was acquitted of her charges, she did not return to the Black Panther Party. In 1975, she married Mutulu Shakur and had their daughter, Sakiwa. Okay. They got divorced in 1982. She and her children moved to Baltimore, Maryland in 1984. She raised her children through welfare because she could not keep a job. She relocated to Marin County in California to manage her drug use. In 1989, her son left home because of her. The two later reconciled. She overcame her addiction after she moved back to New York in 1991 and started Narcotics Anonymous meetings. In 2004, Afeni Shakur married Gus Davis Jr. In that same year, her biography, Afeni Shakur, Evolution of a Revolutionary, was released. In her biography, Afeni Shakur reflected in her childhood experience and her upbringing, as well as her involvement in the Black Panther Party. In the book, she stated that the party educated and directed her to challenge her anger. This gave her hope, which she mentioned she had never experienced. She spoke about how she met men who did not abuse Black women in the party. It was through the party that she met Lumumba Shakur, agreed to be his second wife, and converted to Islam. She described her experiences in jail and how, together with other inmates, they organized a bail fund to get some of the women out of jail. She was a real one. She was a real one. Involvements and mentions. So although Tupac struggled with his relationship with his mother, he paid tribute to her in his song Dear Mama, which happens to be one of my favorite songs. In the song, he reflects on his childhood, acknowledges Afeni's trouble with addiction, and expresses his love for her. You always was committed. A poor single mother on welfare. Tell me how you did it. There's no way I can pay you back, but the plan is to show you that I understand you are appreciated. Her revolutionary ideals were reflected in Tupac's music. Before Tupac died, he arranged for her to receive $16,000 monthly and purchase a home for her in Stone Mountain, Georgia. She was the co-executive of Tupac's estate. Exactly 1 year after her son's death, with revenue from his albums released posthumously, Afeni Shakur founded the Georgia-based Tupac Amaru Shakur Foundation to provide art programs for young people and Amaru Entertainment, a holding company for all of Tupac's unreleased material. She was a comfort to many grieving mothers after the death of her son Tupac and traveled across America giving speeches at events. The foundation was sold shortly before her death. She also launched a fashion clothing line, Machiavelli brand. Afeni Shakur was not involved in the production of All Eyes on Me, a film based on Tupac's life, as she was betrayed by her lawyer, who made the deal with production company Morgan Creek against her will. When she learned of the deal, she fired her lawyer, hired new ones, and told to undo the deal. She went to court several times, spending millions of dollars, this being the main reason she had to sell Tupac Amaru Shakur Center for the Arts, and eventually settled for an undisclosed amount of money after it became clear she would never get the rights to the movie back. That's really fucked up. That's really fucked up. That's really fucked up. That's really fucked up. So somebody make a movie about your child's life, your deceased child, and then turn around. The lawyer gives the approval, but then when it comes down to it, you're not able to get the profit or have any rights. And you're forced to sell a organization or a center just so you can cover up the costs for the lawyer fees. Because having a lawyer is not cheap, especially if you're a celebrity or if you're somebody that has money. It's not cheap. It's not cheap at all. So she had to get rid of one lawyer and get a whole new one. That's what she had to do. And it wasn't cheap. All right. But let's go ahead and continue. So, injunction against Death Row Records. Afeni Shakur was reportedly in federal court on July 20th of 2007 to file an injunction to prevent Death Row Records from selling any unreleased material from Tupac after the company failed to prove that the unreleased songs were not a part of its bankruptcy settlement. Guest appearances and lecture. Shakur traveled across the U.S. making guest appearances and delivering lectures. On February 6, 2009, she gave the keynote address to Vanderbilt University's commemoration for Black History Month. She shared with people her experiences and ways in which to overcome loss. And not only that, with death row, as y'all can see, death row is owned by the federal government. They done took over that. So pretty much Suge Knight has nothing in his name. He's locked up. The man got health issues. So death row was going through bankruptcy and they was in a messed up situation. A lot of the main artists that was under that record label, like Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, who else? Of course, Tupac, Michel'le, they all either they became deceased or they left. So Dr. Dre started his own record label. Snoop Dogg ended up getting with No Limit. And Michel'le, she was just out of a contract deal. So that's how bad it was with Death Row. So Death Row went from being popular in the 90s up there where they had rivalry with Bad Boys, right? Because they were the main popular record label at that time period. Those were the main two popular record labels. Bad Boy representing the East Coast and Death Row representing the West Coast. But Death Row happened to lose. And then first they had to change their name too. They had to go from Death Row to The Row. So it was a messed up situation. It didn't look good on Suge's part. So he ended up being locked up, being incarcerated, and losing all the rights to his own record label that he started. So it says here, unfortunately, Miss Shakur died at a hospital in Greenbrae, California at around 10:28 p.m. on May the 2nd, 2016. After going into cardiac arrest at her home earlier in the evening. She was 69 years old. Her body was cremated. May she rest in peace. May she rest in peace. A beautiful woman. So I got some information that I want to share with you guys. So check this out. If you can see that, if you can see the screen. So this book right here, Afeni Shakur, Evolution of a Revolutionary, was written by Jasmine Guy. So for those who don't know who Jasmine Guy is, she was the actress that was on the sitcom called A Different World, which was created by Bill Cosby himself. It was a spinoff of The Cosby Show. It was a great show to watch because it was very educational. You learned a lot about not only HBCUs, but you was inspired, and also they dealt with a lot of social issue, political issues, a lot of educational information and whatnot. So it was great. I thought the show was really great. I enjoyed it. But yeah, she was the one that wrote this book right here. So it's called Afeni Shakur, Evolution of a Revolutionary. Yep. She wrote that book. All right, and that was I'm trying to see, when is she writing? What year? Let's look at the year. Let me see. Okay, she wrote this book in 2004. So, yep, it was written in 2004. All right. So I have another article which is called the freedomarchives.org. Okay. It's called The Political Thought of Afeni Shakur. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the beginning of this article. All right, it goes into the interview where she explains why she joined the Black Panthers and etc. Okay, so it says Afeni, known to most of us as rap icon Tupac's mother, passed away last month, May 2nd of 2016. In his 1995 song, Dear Mama, Tupac speaks about the deep appreciation for his mother and difficulties she faced with drugs and poverty when raising him. But what many people are not often aware of is that Afeni Shakur was a revolutionary thinker and activist who shaped the political discourse of Black liberation movements in the 1970s. She joined the Black Panther Party in 1968 and was a crucial member in the New York chapter. In April of 1969, she was accused of conspiring with 20 other Black Panther Party's members to carry out bombings in New York. Afeni Shakur defended herself in the so-called Panther 2021 trial, earning an acquittal in all charges after serving a total of 11 months in jail. All right, so okay, here it is. All right, so I'm about to play the video for you guys, and I'm going to put myself on mute.
When you first started getting involved in the Panthers? I was walking down the street one day, and this guy was standing on a corner. It's this rally on 125th Street and 7th Avenue. There's always a rally. And it's got this history for oratory. You know, Malcolm used to speak this before he became this famous person. There's this little guy, and he had all these people standing beside him like it was a small army. And he was just talking. The thing that made me stop and listen was that he was just saying that we could all do something about the police who were in our community, occupying our community. And it was really hitting. And after that, somehow I found out more about the person that was Bobby Seale. And I found out more about the party from that. And I just kind of waited till the party came to New York. And I just joined. Totally freaked out that some young people would have enough heart to go to a state legislature with guns and just stand there and just say, "Get your hand off my gun, man." So it was probably the glamour and romanticism that brought me into the party.
Amongst people that the Solidarity brothers aren't getting enough support.
Well, they aren't. See, the problem is the pigs have purposely set up barriers for them not to get support. And the worst thing in the world for people to do is to make the pigs right. So if the people would constantly, no matter what barriers, keep going to those trials, anyway, then it would be good, because it would be a good effect on the jury. They thought we were good people because so many other people thought we were good people, because people had faith in us. They had enough faith to come to the trial every day for 8 months. So the jury understood that. So I kind of think that if people here would just make those efforts to just go there, even if it was like school kids used to come to court, schools that maybe the prosecution might have had his kids in. And there was a liberal teacher there, and the liberal teacher brought her class down. And that affects the prosecution, because he gets nervous. He gets much more nervous seeing a class full of white kids there than he does seeing a class full of black kids there. Because then he still thinks that he has that responsibility of showing those little white kids that the prosecution of the state of New York are all good people, and that this is the way we act. It's the same thing. But then people here, I understand, are just frightened, and for good reason, because if you have a traffic ticket, you're going to jail. But then on the other hand, there are enough people here who could go to that trial. And the people that could go, they should go all the time.
People have these really mixed views about guards, and I've noticed in some prison struggles that there are a number of guards who show their sympathy for the struggles inside. Obviously, they do it in concealed ways because their jobs are threatened. But for example, in Angela's latest book, there's a letter from a guard to Angela saying how she admired her and how Angela was an inspiration for her and so on. I wondered if there's anything similar that you met in the house of detention or from bailiffs or from some of the lower functions.
When Fred Hampton got killed, I was in jail, and it was very painful, And me and Joan and some women in the jail went on a fast more than a strike. We just didn't eat and stuff. We drank liquids. And about 7 guards in the house of detention quietly went on a fast with us, because they just kept coming to us saying that there was nothing else that they could do, and that the least that they could do was to fast with us, to show that they really felt that. And it's like that a lot, They used to bring us books in and things like that. But then there are other guards who are pigs, who are just total pigs. And the way I see it is that the guard himself has the obligation to prove that he's a human being. Some of them, it's like you say, that they always know that their jobs are at stake, But see, that's a decision that they have to make about how they can help. But if they're sincere, and not wanting to be a part of that, then they'll find ways to do that. And they'll find ways to make you know that. I don't even care about somebody telling me that they're in solidarity with me. They always walk up to your cell and say, it's not me, and I'm really in sympathy with you. I don't care about what you say. It's what you do. It's like you might leave my light on one night for 10 minutes longer so I can finish writing a writ, And that helps me. It's like Maya says, anybody that helps the revolutionary, helps the revolution. And that's all that matters, If they don't help, then it doesn't matter about what class they come from or what class. It's of no consequence. I don't give a fuck about what class they come from. I care about what they're going to do in terms of the revolution, but whether or not they're going to be a hindrance or a help.
Amongst
So that's Tupac's mother. And that's Miss Afeni speaking on why she joined the Black Panther Party and what took place during trial or whatnot. And it was very amazing that this woman continues on with her fight and struggle years later, although she no longer was a part of any political movement, but she always had that, she was always a revolutionary thinker. And she had that mind of a revolutionary. She was a very powerful woman, a very powerful figure. And she went unsung, pretty much went down, never got the acknowledgement of a Black Panther. So it wasn't until when Tupac passed away, that's when a lot of people start recognizing her. But prior to that, she didn't get her acknowledgement. She didn't gain her recognition or receive proper respect. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you all for watching this video. And if you want to share this video, you're more than welcome. And make sure you guys subscribe and hit the notification bell. And I appreciate those who have been subscribing to my channel. I appreciate those who don't hit the notification bell. And peace to those in the chat area. Thank you so much. I really appreciate y'all coming through. So with that being said, until next time, y'all take it easy and we will reconnect. May peace be upon you and you all have a good one. All right.